Good evening, everyone. I hope people are still joining in. So, in the meanwhile, I know you guys were expecting a documentation or classroom update on the assignment, and I'm still in the process of preparing it. So, I'll put it out today at the end of this. And in the meanwhile, I've seen a couple of nice looking work that people have shared. I think Rajkumar has shared something on that. And if anyone there feels like okay, there is something that I need to learn something similar to that. That is what we are going to do. And we are also going to work on something which is more than that, which comes as a complete web application. So great going. Keep sharing stuff on our MERN batch stack Slack channel. It keeps this active also. All right. So before people come in, I'll resume the recording and we will start off with the pointers for the day, like what we are trying to do, what we are going to do today. All right, agenda for the day. So today we are going to work on more properties and targeting using CSS. Then the second thing that we will do is we will understand some classes and pseudo classes in CSS. We will also understand the specificity in CSS. Okay. So these are very important pointers because properties and targeting, once you understand properties and targeting, what we do is we try to look out for something that how to engage. Oh yeah, there is one more very important aspect, which is the box model in CSS. So once we know about the properties, we need to be very sure on how we implement that part and what is the use of that part. And that's what the agenda of this session is all about. A lot of you may know about the properties, you know how it is done, but there is a process and why do we need it? What is the usage of those things is very important when it comes to learning process. Okay. And that's why please focus on understanding the topic instead of knowing the topic. And that is a very important pointer when it comes for your web development uh, track. If I say, if you want to be a good web developer, you need to understand the nitties and gritties of all these kind of development process that we follow. All right. So we will go back and this is what we were doing yesterday. Let me just start off the server and see how it looks like. तो कल मैंने आप लोग के साथ एक वो शेयर किया था प्रॉब्लम cascading style sheet का. Did you guys understand why it was not showing me an external style sheet design and it was showing me an internal style sheet design instead of having it the kind of order that we had discussed about कि क्यों हम लोग सबसे पहले inline को रखते हैं, then we move and we talk about internal and then we talk about external. But why did that happen? Yesterday I showed you, even though we had discussed this, but there was no way, there was a way of using external before internal. Why was that happening? Shivasen, this is very important. All this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is very important if you are trying to understand the concepts of MERN. MERN is a kind of a framework that is written on top of all these languages, and you would need to understand all this in a space of time. And that's why it is a beginner level course where we will be talking about how this works. And then if you are very if you are proficient in JavaScript, that is well and good. If you are not, then MERN will make no sense to you at the end of the day. Okay. So that's why we are trying to pace it out. Uh, if you think that it might be a too slow, wait till a week or so. You will have that pace when once we start talking about React and Express and Node and Mongo. Okay. All right. So coming back to our code, the word cascading has its effect here. And as I said, it reads from top to bottom. And that's why it was reading my link after my internal style sheet. And that was the reason why it was showing me the external style sheet being implemented. But then I said that is not the right way of writing your code. Okay. So we will be linking our style sheet first because that is more of a generic style, like body ka kya style hoga, header ka kya style hoga. All this is a very generic style, and we implement it in our external style sheet. And then I said that if we have very specific style for that particular page, we use an internal style. Let's say कि इस particular page का internal styling जो है वो body से related है, so we use this body part. And then if we have a very specific style for a particular tag, then we use the inline tag. Okay. So you cannot just go ahead and write all the styles over here. That also looks a little messy in terms of coding standards and how we go about it. Because if you start writing everything here in the style, you know how it is going to happen and it becomes very difficult to manage. So that's why it is very important that you define where you want to style your page, how you want to style your page, and have that plan in mind, and then start implementing your styles. All right. If we use external style first and internal style after, then it will adapt to internal style and vice versa. Yes, that's what I said. So right now, if I go ahead and see the style over here, मेरा background light yellow का है, ठीक है? और यहाँ पे index पे यहाँ पे जो बॉडी है वो लाइट ग्रीन है, तो आइडियली अभी और इसमें इनलाइन में कोई भी स्टाइल नहीं है, तो अभी यहाँ पे कोई इनलाइन स्टाइल नहीं है, बट लाइट ग्रीन विल बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड. इफ आई गो अहेड एंड पुट इट लाइक दिस, क्या होगा? व्हाट विल बी द बैकग्राउंड कलर? लाइट येलो, राइट? दिस वाज योर डाउट? लाइट येलो क्योंकि वो कैस्केडिंग इफेक्ट है. सो बेसिकली कैस्केडिंग इफेक्ट ऐसा सोच लो, इट्स लाइक अ वाटरफॉल इफेक्ट फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम. तो जैसे जैसे वो चीजें रीड करता है टॉप टू बॉटम में, वैसे वैसे वो इम्प्लीमेंट करता रहता है. ऑलराइट, मेक सेंस? ओके. ऑलराइट, सो लेट्स गो अहेड एंड understand some more selectors, and let's understand a little bit more on how to target elements in this section. So let's say I'll just remove every style that I have over here. Reference रहने देते हैं, इसको भी हटा देते हैं, because I have already committed this. So you guys can take a look in the GitHub section. Okay. So there are multiple ways of targeting our elements. I said that there is a way of writing IDs, and this is where you will understand why IDs are important, why classes are important. Okay. And I will call this as header, ID header. Now I want to target ID header as a section. Okay. I want to target all the header IDs because, as I said, ID should be unique in nature. And when I say it should be unique in nature, that means एक पेज पे एक ही से नाम का आईडी होना चाहिए. There cannot be more IDs with the same topic over same name over here, because then it will not get implemented. And I can show you that as well. Let's say ID को यहाँ पे मैंने header दे दिया. I give this ID of header. So और यहाँ पे मैंने header के लिए एक वो लिखा हुआ है. So this will work. Do you think this will work? Is it the one that we are looking for? No, correct. This will not work because this is for elements. This is how we target the elements. Okay. But for any IDs, we use hash. If we have a header ID, we use this hash. Now I will take you back to the point where I said, no, we can give IDs for semantics. Semantics में ID ऐसा कोई rule नहीं है कि IDs नहीं देना है. IDs आप सबका दे सकते हो, and it is very important to give IDs for everything if you are creating something. So to target any kind of ID on any page over here, right over here, we use the hash value. तो जब मैं hash header लिखूंगा तो जितने भी hash headers हैं and that is linking the style sheet, they are going to take up this particular style, whatever I write over here. Okay, I'll just remove this. All right. So here I'll just put a background to this because background is the most relevant thing at the moment which gives us a view to this. ठीक है, तो अब मेरे को बताओ, there is a question. यहाँ पे implement होगा, यहाँ पे implement होगा, and यहाँ पे implement होगा because हर जगह मैंने CSS style sheet refer की हुई है, right? Am I correct? Yes or no? Section और header दोनों पे implement होगा? Only header. Let's go ahead and check it out. What do you see? Confusing, right? कैसे चल रहा है ये? कैसे काम हो रहा है? How is it happening?
We'll drink and then go.
Sorry? Either you're saying something?
Sorry, sir.
Okay, cool. So index.html में ये चल रहा है. External में मेरा header था, एक ही header था, तो वहाँ पे implement हो गया. If I go back, ये यहाँ पे implement हो रहा है. क्यों हो रहा है? तो फिर ID का point क्या है? Why do you think we have IDs? Why is it happening? चलो ठीक है, एक और चीज करते हैं. Let's say ये p tag है. Okay, and I will add ID this as para1 and same ID को यूज करते हैं यहाँ पे. ठीक है, और स्टाइल में जाके इस para1 का भी एक स्टाइलिंग कर देते हैं. para1 and let's say there is a thing called font weight. font weight होता है बोल्ड करने के लिए या थोड़ा bolder version दिखाने के लिए. This is another property. So as we go, I will be using a lot of properties that we can use over here. So हमने कहाँ पे ID लगाया para1 का? Index file पे para1 first two इस पे लगाया. Do you think this is going to work? What do you guys think? No, yes, yes. बहुत लोग yes बोल रहे हैं, एक no बोल रहा है. रविंद्र ने no बोला. Can you guys hear me? Disha says no. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, there you go. It does get implemented, right? What is the reason? Why is it getting implemented? Can anyone tell me? Okay. ID is assigned to go. It's not going in a waterfall manner. It is going in a waterfall manner. Why is so happening? It's a unique thing. ID cannot be duplicated. Correct. The reason it is happening is the way CSS is working right now. CSS क्या होता है? It's a targeting element. और हमने CSS को बोला है simply that go ahead and target everything that has an ID of para ID. ठीक है? Target everything that has a ID of header. Now it is not going to say that okay, I am going to have this thing over here and I'm going to check on the index.element कि और भी कहीं ऐसा ID तो नहीं है. What it sees is जहां जहां header ID मिल रहा है, it is implementing that particular style. CSS is not going to tell you that okay आपने गलत लिखा है अपने HTML में, because that is not the work of CSS. The work of CSS is to actually go ahead and implement whatever has been asked for it to do. And that is why I said this is more of a standard way. When we talk about IDs, we should not have multiple IDs on the same page. Okay, we should not have multiple IDs, because if you see over here and if you think like if you're a developer and you're coming back to your code and reading this, you must be thinking that this is a header that is getting implemented only once on a particular page. So there can be multiple. You can have this ID over here as a header, you can have this ID as a header over here, but same page mein do ID is not a good thing to do. Make sense? Yes, so we will come to classes, but I'm talking about the concepts of ID. Why we should not be using similar IDs. IDs is like uniquely identifying. Now I can uniquely identify this thing with another ID called articles, let's say. Okay, I can uniquely identify this as a article. Cool. When does uh, classes come into picture? Classes come into picture at this point of time when we have similar documents. Let's say I have this class and I will call this para. ठीक है? और ये class para मैं सबको attach करता हूँ. I'm attaching all this class para. Now this is okay. This is how we should be doing it. Why? Because this is a paragraph that I'm writing, and this is where we are saying that okay, anything that comes under this paragraph is kind of similar in nature, so that won't affect. So how do we target classes? For targeting any class we use dot. Okay, dot and then target the name, जो भी नाम आपने class का दिया है. So if I go ahead and say I want a font family of this, and I want some letter spacing. Letter spacing is another property which creates a space between the letters. Okay, so I will say, let's say 1 pixel, बहुत बड़ा हो जाएगा, but still. Yes. So here I'm targeting an ID, here I'm targeting a class, and let's see how it looks like. And if I go to my document, do you see the difference? That it has targeted all my similar looking classes similarly. So if I go ahead and see and understand this in a much better way, it is trying to, CSS is able to target a specific class, and this will help us targeting multiple elements together, right? All right, Disha, you have a question? You saying something? I can't hear you if you're saying something. I can't hear you. Maybe you can type it out if it is not audible to us. Okay, in the meanwhile, yes, Shivash, that's correct. JavaScript won't be. You're correct there. Apurva's question is ID repeat करने पे error तो आ नहीं रहा है कोई. तो क्यों सिमिलर नहीं हो सकती? सो आईडीज का मतलब क्या होता है? अगर आपको सिमिलर रोल नंबर दे दिया गया आपके यूनिवर्सिटी में, तो दो लोग चले जाएंगे सेम रोल नंबर कॉल पे, राइट? वी डोंट वांट दैट. So when we are trying to target something uniquely, think in the perspective of organizing your document. अगर आपने दोनों अलग अलग टाइप के एलिमेंट्स या अलग अलग टाइप के कंटेंट को आपने सेम आईडी दे दिया, then you can have a problem when you are trying to target that particular element. Okay. Okay, Disha has a question. My question is that if we have same IDs and we want to cover the first ID red and the second is blue, so what will happen? So we need to be more specific, and that's what I'm coming to. That's what I'm coming to. Okay, clear on this? So we have seen three ways of targeting our elements. One is using IDs, one is using classes, and one way of using is, let me see, anchor tag. Okay, using the name of the element. So anchor tag को let's say उसका जो text decoration is one property that we use to have. So आपने देखा होगा कि anchor tag का एक usual text decoration होता है अपना सा. When I use an anchor tag, it gives me a kind of a text decoration on of its own. But अब यहाँ पे देख रहे हो तो वो underline aspect चला गया है. Do you see? So if I refresh this, that underline is gone. Correct? Because I have removed the text decoration. So there is a text decoration that was already existing. तो मैंने उसको बस none property provide कर दिया, none value provide कर दिया. And what I can do is I can just go ahead and say इसका color क्या होगा. And I would say मेरे को purple अच्छा लगा. So I will say purple and that's it. Purple पे रखते हैं. So if I go back to my screen and see it, it's a purple color. Now if I click on this, it will take me there. If I go back, it still looks like a different color. तो अगर मैं देखूं तो मेरे पास तीन तरीका है टारगेट करने का अपने एलिमेंट्स को. अगर मैं ये टारगेट नहीं करूं, and if I comment it out, this is how we comment in CSS though. So if we comment it out, you see this was the regular format of writing a anchor tag, right? बट टेक्स्ट डेकोरेशन जो आपका प्री डिफाइंड स्टाइल शीट है जो आपके ब्राउजर ऑटोमेटिकली लोड करता है, उसको हम लोग ओवरराइट कर रहे हैं. वी आर सेइंग ओके, व्हाट यू डू इज यू गो अहेड, remove the text decoration that it has, which was underlined initially, and I am going to change the color to something else. Let's say red कर लिया, तो ये red हो जाएगा. So color is a property for the text that we are using. Okay, as you can see, it becomes red over here. All right, clear on this? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and understand a little bit more in details about CSS. अब मैंने बोला आपको कि ठीक है, कैस्केडिंग स्टाइल में काम होता है. कैस्केडिंग स्टाइल में काम हो रहा है. इट इज रीडिंग द प्रॉपर्टीज. उसको मिल गया है CSS में कि जितने भी क्लास पैरा है उसको जाके अंडरलाइन कर दो. अब अगर मैं पैराग्राफ लिखता हूँ, लेट्स से आई एम टारगेटिंग paragraph over here. So if I'm targeting paragraph, it is going to target all the paragraphs. It is going to target all the paragraphs that is present in that particular document. And for this, what I will do is I'll say text decoration underline. Basically, मैं underline कर रहा हूँ, and I will say letter spacing, or not letter spacing. Let's use color, because color is better represented, is royal blue. तो क्या पैराग्राफ टैग मेरा ये इम्प्लीमेंट करेगा? Do you think that will get implemented on all my paragraph tags? Will it have underlined text? Will it have royal blue color? Yes. Let's go ahead and check it out. And it does. It does have that underline. It has that underline with the blue color as well. Okay. अब एक काम करते हैं, यहाँ पे भी एक कलर डाल देते हैं. And I'm going to put this color as let's say Peru. अब कौन सा कलर इंप्लीमेंट होगा बेस्ड ऑन जो भी कॉन्सेप्ट मैंने आपको बताया अभी तक? व्हाट डू यू थिंक विल बी इंप्लीमेंटेड नाउ? रॉयल ब्लू. ओके, लेट्स सी. रॉयल ब्लू कैस्केडिंग इफेक्ट के हिसाब से रॉयल ब्लू होना चाहिए, बट नो, इट इज नॉट रॉयल ब्लू. इट इज पेरू, द ऑरेंजिश कलर. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे? कुछ भी हो रहा है, राइट? प्रतीक के वाई से समझ में आ गया. No. So this is where the specificity come into picture. So when we talk about styling and when we are targeting any element, what CSS does is it has a specificity order. So I'll just write specificity यहाँ पे. ठीक है? इसका मतलब क्या होता है? The highest priority is given to our IDs. तो जो भी elements पे IDs रहते हैं, या if we are targeting it using ID, it get a points of 100. Okay? If there is a class, it gets a points of 10. And if there is just the element or tag, I'll call it, if it is just a tag, it gets a point of 1. Okay. So let's use header. यहाँ पे header है हमारे पास, या paragraph को use करते हैं. और ओके नहीं, हेडर को यूज करते हैं क्योंकि हेडर बेटर होगा बैकग्राउंड चेक करने के लिए. हम लोग सबसे ऊपर लिखते हैं अपना हेडर टैग. यहाँ पे लिखते हैं हेडर element and I go ahead and write background. So if we see this, what color do you think is going to have, we are going to have on our document? Sky, light sky blue or light blue? All right. This is what we are having, light sky blue. Okay. Now let's take another example and give a class to this as well. So we can also give class and IDs together. And I'll call this welcome. And if I try to access this and I put a background of green. Now, what do you think the color is going to be? Green? Okay. Are you sure it's green? Light blue. ऊपर देख लो, ये नंबर्स देख लो एक बार ढंग से, उसके बाद आंसर करना. लाइट ब्लू. एक सेकेंड, इसको थोड़ा चेंज कर देते, ब्राउन कर देते, क्योंकि फिर बाद में पता नहीं चलेगा लाइट स्काई ब्लू है कि क्या है. ठीक है, तो लेट्स गो अहेड एंड चेक इट आउट. एंड इट इज ब्राउन. And why it is brown? It is because of the specificity. Even though it is red from top to bottom, but our CSS is reading it from the perspective of specificity. It understands that, okay, there is a ID attached to this, and that ID is going to be the one that I'm going to take in preference. And अगर ID के बाद उसके ऊपर class है तो class, otherwise we take this. Okay, all right, cool. So what we will do is now we will go ahead and understand it in a little bit more detail. But यहाँ तक समझ में आया कि किसका preference उठा रहा है? Yes, no. All right, I'll let that noise pass from the background. There are a lot of traffic going on. Give me a couple of seconds, I'll mute it, okay? So that it doesn't disturb you guys. Okay, so what do you think now the background color of our header is going to be? Dark orchid? Why so? Points and top to bottom, correct. If I put it over here on the top, let's put it on the top. So let's go and check it out. It is dark orchid. So when we are considering any kind of specificity, and if we are trying to target something on CSS, it takes the count. So let's count this. Iske points kitne हुए? How much will this come to? This is going to be 110, right? This is going to be 100. This is going to be 10. Sorry, 1. And this is going to be 10. So कौन सा पिकअप कर रहा है ये? 110 वाला. Sorry, 111. This is 110. Yeah, correct. 110. Right? Okay. So it is a specificity number. अगर हमने IDs use किया है तो 100 पॉइंट. अगर हमने क्लासेस यूज किया है तो 10 पॉइंट. अगर सिर्फ टैग यूज किया है तो 1 पॉइंट. तो हमने ये टारगेट कैसे किया? हाउ हैव वी टारगेटेड इट? वी हैव टारगेटेड इट यूजिंग द आईडी एंड क्लास बोथ टुगेदर. So you might be wondering कि ये dot साथ में कैसे लिख दिया? So whenever we are trying to target an element together, we use it like this. Now I will do it one more way, and that is going to be right somewhere in between. I will say header hash header dot welcome. Okay, so here I'm going to put another background, and I will say क्या क्या हो गया? Dark orchid हो गया, sky blue हो गया. Let's put a background of gray. Right? So अब इसका points कितना हुआ? This is going to be 111. And if I go back and check it out, it is going to be gray. Right? Correct? What do you see? तो ये specificity pointers समझ में आया आप लोग को कि कैसे specifically target हो रहा है elements? Anyone having any kind of doubt? You want to see the HTML? Okay, I will just split it, the code, so that you guys can see it. Here. So हमने सबको बैकग्राउंड दिया है, बट हो क्या रहा है यहाँ पे? दिस आर द conflicting properties. These are the conflicting properties, right? These are the conflicting properties. So what it does is it targets this. Acha, tell me one thing. home.html में कौन सा बैकग्राउंड होगा? Which background will be implemented in home.html? Brown, gray, brown. Okay, let's see. So if I go to this is brown. The color is brown basically. And वो क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि इस पेज में हमने कोई भी ऐसा HTML हेडर नहीं लिखा था, हेडर टैग नहीं था जिसके पास आईडी भी हो, हेडर और क्लास भी हो वेलकम, right? And that's why it was not getting targeted. Right? Does it make sense? So if I go back, when it has ID, class, and the specific rule that we have, it is going to pick up that particular style. So let's go back to our home screen and index.html. तो ये highest specific order का था, and that's why gray is getting picked up. Make sense? Specificity order समझ में आया? Now you would be wondering, why do we need this? इतना confusing aspects क्यों रखना है? Correct? So when you are working as a designer or when you are working as a front-end person, there will come a time when you are trying to target different elements in a very different way, but they will have a very generic design. तो अभी अगर मैं यहाँ पे एक ये लिख दूँ color, ठीक है, color element लिख दूँ, and I will give this a color of, let's say, white. Let's say I'm giving a color of white. So do you think this text color is going to get implemented? Okay. Yes. Why? Because there is no conflicting color in any other properties that we have given. अगर मैंने यहाँ पे कहीं और पे भी color डाल दिया, let's say I put color over here, then again the specificity thing will come into picture. But right now we do not want that. So this will get implemented because color property का एक ही rule हमने दिया हुआ है यहाँ पे कि white करना है और उसके अलावा कुछ भी नहीं target किया, right? So in that manner, it is going to be very useful while you are targeting. As you can see, the top part has become white in color, right? And if I go to my second page as well, it has become white in color, but it is picking two different designs. Are you kind of getting it how it is done and what might be the need of doing this? Because you would have seen कि अलग-अलग pages में, even though it is a header और उसका color context हमने same लिखा हुआ है, तो कलर हो सकता है, टेक्स्ट हमने सेम रखा है, बैकग्राउंड सबका अलग अलग करना है, तो वी कैन बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक डिपेंडिंग ऑन हम क्या आईडी दे रहे हैं उसको या क्या क्लास दे रहे हैं. Okay, as we go deeper into the specificity level, the more precise the styling should be. That forms the tag to IDs. Yeah, correct. So we need to be very precise, and this will come with practice, obviously. As you style your web, you might feel the need of adding a class to this because there might be multiple welcome messages. So companies में होता क्या है ना, most of the times we have standards. Let me just take you through any website. Okay. Uh, गूगल पे ही चलते हैं, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हो इस पर्टिकुलर बहुत सिंपल वेबसाइट है, राइट. बट इसका जो ये टेक्स्ट है ये इन्होंने खुद से कुछ डिज़ाइन किया हुआ है. बट बाकी टेक्स्ट आप देख रहे हो पूरे पेज में, दे आर सिमिलर. द फॉन्ट्स विल बी सिमिलर, द साइजेस माइट डिफर बट द फॉन्ट्स विल बी सिमिलर एवरीवेयर, राइट. इफ आई go ahead and expand this, you see the font is similar, icon change हो रहा है, font similar है. So if you're thinking in terms of a designer or a web developer, you will understand that there is a need of assigning a proper value to everything initially or a more generic level, and then we can slowly go ahead and target each and every element and see how it works. So यहाँ पे आप हो सकता है कि थोड़ा light कर दिया color. Can you guys see the lighter version of the same text? Are you guys able to see it? ये जो बटन्स हैं इस पे उन्होंने लाइटर टेक्स्ट रखा है, यहाँ पे थोड़ा डार्क टेक्स्ट है, राइट. So similarly they would have used something, they would have styled it in such a way that it looks like they are using the same font but with a different aspect here and there, or tone brighter or tone lighter, something like that. And that's why it is very important when we are trying to use our CSS. I hope you guys are getting the point. Yes. Okay, so now that you have understood specificity, let me tell you what this means. This is basically targeting an element in a very specific way. बहुत specific होके मैं target कर रहा हूँ. तो कोई भी element को अगर मेरे को target करना है, I would be targeting in this manner. अगर specifically target करना है. Now, this brings me to the hierarchy of our document. So this, I will take you to my whiteboard. Data structures कितनों ने पढ़ा है? How many of you have heard or read about data structures? Most of you, right? So the reason I'm saying this is data structures are very important when it comes to your placement aspect and everything you do. तो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स होता क्या है बेसिकली कि किसी भी चीज को करने का तरीका है और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का एक तरीका है एल्गोरिदम है. सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गो इनटू द डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट, बट जो अपना डॉम होता है या जो भी आप HTML डॉक्यूमेंट देख रहे हो हम लोग का, दैट इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ अ ट्री स्ट्रक्चर. ओके, तो अपना जो HTML डॉक्यूमेंट होता है, एंड आई एम गोइंग टू डू दैट. HTML हमारे इसमें हेड है, आई एम गोइंग टू पुट इट ओवर हियर, and we have a body. I'm going to put it over here. Okay, and inside the body we have, let's say, a header section, और क्या था उसमें, और हेडर सेक्शन, लेट्स से कि जो हमारा सेकंड पेज है उसकी बात करते हैं, और उसमें था H1 या H2, आई थिंक, आई माइट हैव टू चेक, मे बी H2, H1, H2 जो भी था, समथिंग लाइक दिस. और हेडर के अंदर अपना कुछ मेटा टैग्स थे एंड एवरीथिंग. सो जस्ट अ ब्रीफ एग्जांपल ऑफ व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू. So when the document is prepared and loaded on the browser, it creates this kind of a data structure, this kind of a structure of its own. ठीक है, और इसी structure को CSS read करता है. This is what CSS reads. And when it is trying to apply the rules, or when it is trying to apply the changes that we have done, it reads accordingly. So HTML will be the parent of everything, and then body will be the parent of the content part. Ab, ऐसे similarly we will have multiple other things as well. We might have a section over here, so that will come in parallel to this, right? So this will be section. Are you getting it? जब आप लोग data structures पढ़ोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा So there is a tree structure that is coming into picture. हेडर होगा, फिर आपका करेक्ट फुटर होगा, डिपेंडिंग ऑन आपने कितने एलिमेंट्स कैसे क्रिएट किए. देयर विल बी अ फुटर और उसके अंदर फिर सब एलिमेंट्स आ जाते हैं व्हिच यू आर गोइंग टू हैव, राइट? एग्जैक्टली. सो अब आप देखोगे जो अनुराग ने पूछा क्वेश्चन, that is the reason why we have that indentation. It gives us the hierarchy of the document that we are preparing. Okay, it gives us the hierarchy of the document, and that also helps us to understand कि कौन किसका parent है and कहाँ कौन किसके अंदर तक गया हुआ है. So let's say when I am trying to implement some styling to my header, that will be implemented to my H2 and P as well. Does that make sense? Everyone, does it make sense? जब हमने एक कोई चीज स्पेसिफिकली बॉडी को दी है, वो अपने चाइल्ड में भी जाएगा. ठीक है. सो लेट्स गो एंड चेक दिस फीचर आउट कि ये काम कैसे कर रहा है. तो अभी के लिए हम लोग क्या करते हैं, ये पूरा कमेंट कर देते हैं ताकि हमें कोई प्रॉब्लम ना हो. Okay, it will not happen like this because I have some comments in between. So quickly let's comment all of this. Okay, cool. कोडिंग स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रहा है? हाँ चलो, मैं कमेंट ही कर रहा था, वैसे कुछ लिखा नहीं था. ऑलराइट, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट पेरेंट चाइल्ड इन CSS. ठीक है. तो अब हम लोग क्या करते हैं, वी आर गोइंग टू टारगेट हेडर ओनली. ठीक है. इसमें दिस विल मेक अस अंडरस्टैंड इट बेटर. एक हेडर है हमारे पास, उसको टारगेट करते हैं और उसमें लिखते हैं कुछ. सो आई विल से हेडर and I'll give it a color of green. ठीक है. ठीक है. तो ये color green, I have written it for this particular thing, but there is also the child of H1 and P to this. So you will see that this color will get implemented for my this particular elements as well, right? As you can see, I did not specifically go ahead and say H1 and sorry, H1 and P, but I said header and it got implemented for both of them, right? Make sense? CSS समझ में आ रहा है? So this is how the parent-child relation works. अगर अब मैं जाके इसमें P लिखता हूँ, if I target it as this and I say color red, तो अभी कौन सा कलर यूज होगा? Correct, because I have specifically done this. Now if I do this over here, अगर मैंने P को ऊपर लिखा, इस समय बताओ still the same. Yes, let's see. So it is going to implement red because we have given a rule for P, right? If we do not give any rule, and if there is a rule applied to a parent, it gets applied to the child as well if there is no rule applied to them. Okay? ठीक है. तो आप देख रहे हो मेरा अभी H1 ग्रीन पर है बट मेरा P रेड पर है. All right. So this is the parent child. in terms of how it works. Okay, all right. अब एक काम करते हैं. Before I go into the details of parent child, I will talk about a very important concept called box model. And this is how people try to target most of the elements, or how everything in our HTML document is prepared. तो ये मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. I'll go inside our inspect element. तो अभी तक हमने सिर्फ HTML का पार्ट देखा था कि कहाँ पे आ रहा है. उसके साइड में आप ये देख रहे हो, there is a style tab and it tells me what style has been applied to what. So if I click on, let's say, header, you will see what style has been applied to this. And there is a user agent style sheet which is a default style sheet. इस पेज में तो कुछ भी नहीं है जो कि डिफॉल्ट है अभी, बट उसका जो डिस्प्ले प्रॉपर्टी है, which was, we will talk about display property right now, it is still from the user agent style sheet. So this is a predefined style sheet that comes attached with our HTML. जो डिज़ाइन था कि कैसा टेक्स्ट है और कैसा स्पेस है और क्या साइज है अपने H1 का, all that is coming as a part of our user style sheet. And you see this small box over here. Okay, each element that we create or have in our HTML is aligned or is a part of this box model. Okay, this box model is important in terms of placing or understanding how we are placing our elements. तो अगर मैं H elements पे क्लिक करूं, तो इसका जो डिफॉल्ट स्टाइल है वो आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पे. ठीक है, इसका ये डिफॉल्ट स्टाइल और प्रॉपर्टीज है. और ये जो बॉक्स एलिमेंट है, इट टेल्स मी कि कितना स्पेस ले रहा है ये H1. Similarly, if I click on P, it also has its box style. If I click on header completely, it has its box style. So if you see over here, it kind of creates a box element, and we have certain properties assigned to that particular box, or every element for that matter. So let me show you a box and it will make things more clear. What I will do is I will create a div over here and I will call it or ID it as box. Okay, I will ID it as box. अब यहाँ पे यहाँ पे क्या होगा कि हम लोग वो सारी प्रॉपर्टीज यूज करेंगे जो बॉक्स मॉडल के लिए यूटिलाइज होती हैं. जो आपने देखा था कि कुछ कुछ प्रॉपर्टीज आप देख रहे थे नाम के साथ, उसको हम लोग यहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंट करके एंड देन वी विल go ahead and implement that. So for the box model property, if I'm targeting it as a box, I will say hash box, and inside this, yes, it will change. Definitely, it will change based on the viewport, and I will tell you why. So main properties होती है, एक margin property होती है. I'll just write the margin property. Then there is a border property. I'll talk about each one of them. Then there is padding. Then there is width, and then there is height. ठीक है, ये मेन कंटेंट होता है अपने बॉक्स का. मार्जिन, इफ यू थिंक ऑफ अ पोजीशन कम्स अ लिटिल लेटर, रेडियस सब आता है बाद में, बट दीज आर द इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ अ बॉक्स मॉडल. मार्जिन, थिंक ऑफ इट एज अ फेंस. आपके घर के अराउंड एक फेंस है, वो उस फेंस में देयर इज अ स्मॉल स्पेस, देयर इज अ स्मॉल गैप जहाँ पे जिसके बाद रोड चालू होती है फेंस के बाहर की तरफ, राइट? सो मार्जिन इज समथिंग लाइक दैट. जो भी आपका एरिया है उसके बाहर थोड़ा सा स्पेस, कितना स्पेस चाहिए. तो you see it's a box, so it will be top, right, bottom, left. This is the flow it goes. So if I specify 10 pixels, now pixels are a way of defining how much space I'm occupying on my screen. You might know what a pixel is, right? Everyone knows what a pixel is. HD, अल्ट्रा HD, ये सारे चीज सुना होगा, तो पिक्सल्स के बारे में आपको पता होगा. It's like a very small block on the screen, the smallest block on the screen, yes, of an image, correct? So I'm saying that my margin is going to be 10 pixels. So that smallest unit of my screen into 10 times, I'm going to apply it all the way around. When I say margin, it is going to apply all the way around. Yeah, we use that. We will come to the different types of sizing and styling. But at the moment, we will stick to pixels. Border is something that is always present. हमारे हर element में border होता है, but it is not visible all the time. So we have to go ahead and define the color, the size, and everything. So it has certain values. So the very first thing is the size of the border. If I say 2 pixels, it is going to take up the size of 2 pixels. Then there is what kind of border I want. What kind of border? So I'll say dashed. There are multiple kinds. I'll say dashed. And what is the color of the border? So for now, I will take up black. ठीक है? तो ये border हो गया. Suppose करो fence हो गया आपके घर के around. Padding हो गया. Let's say there is a garden area, and after that you have the house, right? So that garden area becomes the padding part. Yeah, if you order a Amazon box, उसमें sometimes it fills up with bubble wraps, right? Those bubble wraps are the padding. So I will say 5 pixels of padding all around, चारों तरफ. और width और height, that is the main content area जहाँ पे भी चीजें दिख रही हैं inside that particular element. So this is the main area where the display of the content is happening. So I will say 200 pixels, or square or height be 200 pixels. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. What do you see? You see a box, right? You see a box. And if I go shorter, it is fixed. It is not moving, right? Because we have specifically defined it with pixels. But you see a box with the properties that we have created. Yeah, we can write it in percentages as well. So let's just take a look at this. This is the div that we have created. And over here, what we had defined was a margin of 10 pixels. So you see on the left hand side, on the right hand side, it is taking up the rest of the screen. On the top 10, on the bottom 10. Then we have a 2 pixel border, which is always visible. It's just that we have given it some properties and it is visible now. Then there is padding, and anything that we are going to write inside this, or any kind of element that we are going to put, or let's say I'm going to put a text in a moment here, it is going to be inside this 200 by 200 pixels space. So let me do that as well. What I will do is I'll put a p tag और उसमें खूब सारा text लिख देते हैं. And again a lorem ipsum. Okay, let's go back and see it out. Check it out. So what is happening is that box remains constant. That box remains constant, but things are going out of the box. तो ये हमारा एक प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि हमने जो कंटेंट प्रोवाइड किया है दैट इज ऑफ द साइज ऑफ 306 पिक्सल. देख रहे हो आप? यहाँ पे 200 इंटू 300 पिक्सल्स हो गया है. तो वो 100 पिक्सल एक्स्ट्रा जो है वो बाहर चला गया. आर यू गाइस सीइंग इट? बट द कंटेंट इनसाइड दिस बॉक्स, वो जो पी स्टार्ट हो रहा है दैट इज स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम 10 pixels from the left, 10 pixels from the right, right? Correct? So let's go and remove one lorem ipsum and just keep it over here. I hope this is going to be enough. Yeah, this is going to give me a clear picture. तो मेरे p box के अंदर जो भी p start हो रहा है, इसका खुद का कुछ properties है. As you can see, there is some margin and something that has been provided by user agent, and इसलिए वो जो छोटा सा gap आप top पे देख रहे हो 200 into 162, that is the space that has been created by the user style sheet agent. But हमने box को बोला था कि जो भी content इसका आएगा वो 10 pixel left right या margin padding of 5 pixels के बाद आएगा. तो ये जो internal box है that has 5 pixels around it. Are you able to observe this one? Right? And this is a very important element. This is how everything in your CSS works. Everything inside your CSS is a box model. And you can play around with this as much as you want. But there is one thing that I don't know if you observed or not. Even though I have provided the pixels of 10, margin of 10 all around, right hand side पे ये पूरा area ले रहा है. It is taking all the space on the right hand side. Right? तो ये क्या हो रहा है? Why is it taking this? It's a block element. Correct. Not paragraph, Kirti. This is the div. Div is the block element. But did you observe my paragraph is limited inside this? It is not taking the complete space. ये ऑब्जर्व किया आपने? ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि इस p का पेरेंट मेरा div है. तो when I say in terms of block, whether it is a block element, it says that okay, p is going to take up the whole area which has been defined for its parent. अभी तक हम लोग पेरेंट्स के साथ काम कर रहे थे, तो हमारा बॉडी पेरेंट था या हेडर पेरेंट था विच वाज टेकिंग द कंप्लीट थिंग. अगर ये सेम चीज मैंने हेडर के अंदर देखा होता तो पी ऐसा लग रहा है देख के कि वो पूरा स्क्रीन ले रहा है, बट नो, इट इज टेकिंग अप द कंप्लीट स्पेस ऑफ हेडर. ओके, हेडर इतने स्पेस में अप्लाइड है एंड उसका पूरा एलिमेंट पी ले रहा है. सिमिलरली box has been defined in such range that all the content is going to be confined in this zone. So whatever thing that we are having inside this is going to be confined in this. If it is a block element, it is going to take up the complete space according to the block element. Make sense? Does it make sense to all of you? Any doubts in this? So just to quickly repeat, let's do one thing. Let's create one more box. Okay, let's create one more box. और थोड़ा सा और प्ले अलोंग करते हैं इसके साथ. अभी और भी चीजें हैं इसमें. And I'll call this as ID of. अब देखो मेरे को 2 बॉक्सेस बनाना है, तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि चलो इसको क्लास बना देते हैं. If I make it class and class, class of box, और ये सेम चीज यहाँ पे भी लिख देते हैं. तो क्या ये एलिमेंट काम करेगा? यस, वी नीड टू चेंज इट टू डॉट बॉक्स. तो ये क्या एक लाइन में आएगा कि अलग अलग आएगा? ऊपर नीचे आया, राइट? व्हाई? बिकॉज div is a block element. Div is a block element. But p is also a block element, but उसका जो parent है, it has some constraint that whatever content is going to come inside me is going to be confined into 200 pixels. So it is not overflowing. But height wise it was, right? Height wise it was overflowing. Did you observe that? जब मैं इसमें extra content लिख रहा था, height wise it was. So height का concept जो होता है, थोड़ा सा overflow जो elements होता है, वो क्या करता है CSS, that if it is going outside the box, what it does is it tries to show everything. क्योंकि अगर आपका स्क्रीन लेंथ को क्रॉस करेगा तो आप स्क्रॉल नहीं कर पाओगे, राइट? या आप स्क्रॉलेबल नहीं बनाया हो अभी तक इसको. तो उसका भी एक प्रॉपर्टी होता है एंड इट इज कॉल्ड ओवरफ्लो प्रॉपर्टी. दैट व्हाट आई वांट टू डू व्हेन द ओवरफ्लो इज हैपनिंग. And what are the properties in overflow? I want to make it scrollable. So what I will do is I'll just quickly go ahead and do this again. and make it lorem ipsum. इसमें extra text डाल देते हैं and go inside over here and check it out. So one second, I'll just scroll it down. So यहाँ पे it's okay. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे this has become scrollable now. Can you see this? It has become scrollable. So that overflow problem has been solved. Even though the text has more content, but it is scrollable now, right? Yes, and we can also do height auto. तो auto पे अभी मैं आया नहीं हूँ. Auto पे I will just come and show there is a trick that happens. So let's say I want to align this boxes. Auto scroll थोड़ा JavaScript के element में चला जाएगा सुनील. That is more on the feasibility कि अपने आप scroll होने लगे. उसमें JavaScript आ जाता है. ठीक है? तो I want to show you something. I want to align these boxes in one line. I want to align these boxes in one line. How do I do that? Like ये अगल बगल आ रहा है, but मेरे screen में space है, right? I have the space on my screen. So what I want to do is this would make more sense if I align it side by side. ठीक है? तो क्या करेंगे हम लोग? एक display property होती है. Yes. If you remember, I told you that we have the capability of changing a block element into an inline element or an inline element into a block element. Okay, and that property, that power is given to us by CSS. तो कहाँ पे लगाएंगे हम लोग inline block? अगर जिसको idea है, where should I put it? Should I put it over here? Let's say display inline block. Let's see what happens with this. What has happened here is now inline block जब मैंने लिखा, what I'm saying is each element inside this boxes has now become kind of an inline block. Whatever space has been occupied has been taken up by these boxes. अब मैं जितने boxes डालूंगा, it will start aligning itself on the same line. If I start creating more class with boxes, and let me do that. If I go ahead and copy paste this whole stuff, let's say 5 times, what will happen? 5 boxes are there and there is still some space over here. So let's go and add one more box. And have it like this and one more box. 6 boxes हमने कर दिया. Now this will totally depend on the screen that we are working on. हमारे पास 6 boxes आ गए. तो अब क्या हुआ है कि it has seen that okay, I have aligned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes. 7 boxes are here and we have said inline block. So this has given us the power of aligning our boxes in one single line till the point it can be accommodated in a screen. अगर मैं ये चीज छोटे screen पे करता हूँ, let's take it right side. What do you see? It gets aligned one after the other. So it auto adjusted space, right? It is auto adjusting its space. It sees that if this particular element is adjustable in this particular part of the screen, it will adjust. So let me just create this. What do you see? It gets adjusted, right? Neat, pretty neat stuff. How this CSS works. Right? तो अब आपके पास कंट्रोल है और ये चीज आप सब चीज के साथ कर सकते हो. यू कैन क्रिएट हेडर को भी आप इतने में कंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते हो. लेट मी शो यू. I can do this to my header also. ये सेम बॉक्स मॉडल को यूज करके आप हेडर को भी कर सकते हो. Where is my header? So I'll just go ahead and say okay, हेडर की प्रॉपर्टीज हमने सेट कर दी. तो आप लोग मेरे को बताओ कैसे सेट करेंगे. आई एम टारगेटिंग हेडर. What are the properties that I should be looking for when I'm trying to adjust a header? So margin, margin. I'll give something like this: 10 pixels, 5 pixels, 10 pixels, 5 pixels. What am I doing over here? Can anyone tell me? Clockwise direction. Yes. So what I'm setting is I'm setting the size of each boundary of my margin. जो top का margin है वो 10 pixel है. राइट का जो मार्जिन है वो 5 पिक्सल है. फिर बॉटम का जो मार्जिन है 10 पिक्सल है. और जो लेफ्ट का मार्जिन है वो 5 पिक्सल है. ओके. सो आई एम सेटिंग. सो आप उसको कस्टमाइज भी कर सकते हो. यू कैन चेंज इट इन अ डिफरेंट वे. एंड इफ आई गो एंड ऐड a border to this, and there was another border, so I will put a border of 3 pixels. Block, not blocked, dashed हो गया, dotted कर लेते हैं. Dotted borders आ जाएगा, and the color will be this is cyan. Okay, and padding कर लेते हैं 5 pixels all around. So you can do the padding भी same way में. इतना कर लेते हैं, and let's see how it works. So if I go over here, you see a kind of a border that has been applied to everything inside that box. तो इस box model से हम each element को target कर सकते हैं. अब अगर मैं इसका properties देखूं, if I go ahead and check the properties for this one, what will we see? Let's check it out. So इसमें you see it has a 10 5 10 5. ठीक है. Border is 3 3 3 3. मैंने इसको specific height और width नहीं दी थी. So it has taken it up from the content that it has. तो इसने जो height का content लिया, अगर इसको मैं बड़ा करूं या छोटा करूं, it will change the content size. Can you see the content size changing over here inside? This is because of the viewport and everything that has come into picture, and that's why it is a responsive stuff. And as you can see, when I highlight over here, only that part is highlighted, which is kind of a part of the content. If I highlight the padding, it shows me what the padding is. If I highlight border, it shows me border and margin. Okay. All right. तो एक little trick पे काम करते हैं इसके. What we are going to do is इतने सारे boxes नहीं रखते हैं. एक box रखते हैं. I'll just keep one box. बाकी को मैं comment कर दे रहा हूँ, because if I push the code, you can just uncomment and start working with this. And it is here on my document like this. Now, as I said initially that it was auto adjusting the margin part. अभी तो मैंने इसको inline block कर दिया है, इसलिए इसका जो inline block properties है, yeah, I'll take up that, Sridhar, in a moment. Give me a second. One second. Yeah. So अभी जो मेरा div है उसको मैंने inline block किया हुआ है. So what I'll do is I'll remove that inline block property as well. और एक trick दिखा रहा हूँ मैं आपको. Basically a lot of time it is used. I want to position this box on center. तो अभी मैंने आपको बताया कि अलग अलग ways में margin कर सकते हैं. So when I say 10 pixels and 5 pixels, what it does is top and bottom हो जाएगा 10 pixels and left and right हो जाएगा 5 pixels, right? So we saw that right side mein auto margin was taking the complete space. So there is a property value called auto. What this will do is it will auto adjust the left and the right hand side of your element. And if I go inside this and check it out, what do you see? It has come in center, right? It has come in center. So उसने क्या किया, लेफ्ट हैंड साइड और राइट हैंड साइड में जितना भी स्पेस था उसको ऑटो एडजस्ट किया और टॉप पे 10 पिक्सल दिया और बॉटम पे 10 पिक्सल दिया. Let's go and check it out inside our body and this. So as you can see, the margin is still the same, जितना भी space है, but it has taken up the left and right hand side and auto adjusted the content accordingly. तो अब इसको मैं छोटा भी करूँगा तो ये उस स्क्रीन के सेंटर पे रहेगा. So if you want to align something on center, what if I make more boxes? If I put this and uncomment this box, let's uncomment this box. What will happen? Since we have done auto margin, वो right and left वाला inline block का भी implementation नहीं लिया, right? It did not take inline block. Why? Because it is still behaving like a block element. Am I correct? Am I correct? जो मैंने बोला, yes, ये तो गड़बड़ हो ही गया, इसको हटाओ. जो मैंने बोला करेक्ट था कि गलत था, ये बताओ मेरे को. Will this work? ये क्यों नहीं आ रहा है, इनलाइन ब्लॉक में क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? आना चाहिए था, नहीं आना चाहिए था? What do you guys think? मैंने सेव नहीं किया है गाइस. देखो ऊपर डॉट बना हुआ है, इसको सेव करते हैं. अब देखते हैं क्या हो रहा है. आ गया. It should, yeah, correct. That's what I wanted to see. Confidence है कि नहीं आप लोग को? करेक्ट. तो ये समझ में आ रहा है कैसे काम चलता है बॉक्स मॉडल का. एंड this can be done with all the properties that we have. Like everything that we have has a property and it can be taken up over here. अब आप इसको अलग से टारगेट कर सकते हो. लाइक इसमें आप एक और एलिमेंट डाल दिया. लेट्स से आई वांट टू हैव अ h1 and let's say article and it's a scrollable article. हाँ, मार्जिन ऑटो है. दैट मीन्स इनलाइन ब्लॉक हो गया है. अब जब इनलाइन एलिमेंट्स का क्या प्रॉपर्टी होता है कि जितना कंटेंट है उतना स्पेस लेंगे. ठीक है, तो वो ऑटो वाली प्रॉपर्टी अप्लाइड है, बट इट इज ओनली टेकिंग अप जितना स्पेस इस पर्टिकुलर डिव को हमने असाइन किया है, विच इज डिफाइंड बाय एवरी प्रॉपर्टी दैट वी हैव गिवन ओवर हियर, द कंटेंट दैट इट हैज. अगर मैं ये प्रॉपर्टी हटा दूं, then it will start acting like a normal block element. And by the way, you can create anything, create any block element into inline element by saying the display is inline. So if I say display inline, what I'm doing is I am kind of restricting my header to the point. तो आप देख रहे हो चेंज हो गया, कुछ अजीब सा हो गया यहाँ पे. Do you see क्या हो गया on the top header पे? सो हेडर को अपना स्पेस मिला है, जो भी उसका अपना स्पेस है वो बस उतना ही ले रहा है, और उसका बाकी जो एलिमेंट है वो ओवरफ्लो कर गया उससे, राइट? बिकॉज आई हैव मेड दिस एज display inline. If I remove this, it comes back. I can use my dev tool also to just check out by removing these stuff कि कैसे काम करता है ये. As you can see, if I add this, you see a small little change happening on the screen. If I add padding to this, padding is kind of giving it a nice touch. Border appear हो जाएगा when I do this. और display जैसे inline करेंगे, header अपना space लेके चला गया ऊपर, छोटा सा space ले लिया उसने, and बाकी जो उसका मेन कंटेंट था, नॉट मेन कंटेंट, सब कंटेंट जो था H1 and P is taking up this space. It is not like margin auto does not work. इनलाइन की प्रॉपर्टी क्या होती है? इनलाइन की प्रॉपर्टी होती है कि जितना कंटेंट हमने स्पेसिफाई किया है वो उतना ही जगह लेगा. तो इट्स एन इनलाइन ब्लॉक. ए टैग में जितना हमने टेक्स्ट लिखा है वो उतना स्पेस लेता है, राइट? इमेज जितनी दूर तक लिखा हुआ है, इट टेक्स अप दैट मच स्पेस, right? So since we have restricted the width and height of it, 200 pixel के content में ही वो aligned होगा when I make it as inline or inline block. Okay? Body के margin auto करे तो? No, Shriza, there is nothing like that. Yes, you need to practice this, but this is the major element. कि बॉक्स में बॉक्स प्रॉपर्टी होती है और हर एक एलिमेंट को एक बॉक्स के तरीके से हम विजुअलाइज कर सकते हैं, और उस बॉक्स के साथ हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. वी कैन प्ले अराउंड विद दैट. सो डिड यू ऑब्जर्व वन थिंग हियर? डिड यू ऑब्जर्व वन थिंग हियर? ये वाली प्रॉपर्टी जब मैंने यहाँ पे बोला, आई सेड दैट parent has if parent has some property defined to this, the child element will inherit the property of the parent. Okay, so let's do one thing. When I say, I'll just comment it out, and let's have the width to this. I'll say 200 pixels. So this will get applied, correct? This will get applied. Let's see. This gets applied, right? तो मतलब मेरा H1 और P भी is confined in that, correct? When I specify the width. All right. When I try to apply display inline, there is something that it says, but we'll come to that. When I say inline, it does not take up the parent's value, right? And why does it not? That is because the display properties are not inherited. The display property that you see is not taken up by the child. And that is the reason. So anything that is related to font or size of the content or everything does get inherited. But if it is related to the display property of the parent, it will not get inherited. Okay? That H1 and P does not become inline. Does it become inline? What do you think? Is it inline or block? Yeah. So the display property, I have set my header to inline specifically. So what I have done is I have overridden its block property to inline property, and that has been applied over here. But the child, as I said, it does not take up the display property. It is still block, right? If you see P, it is still block, which is its default value. Correct? Understood? All right. Cool. तो आप देख रहे हो ये हेडर कहाँ से कहाँ तक आ गया है. What is this small stuff? So it is trying to adjust everything inside this, but it itself is inline. So this is not a good way of writing, right? हमने अच्छे से नहीं किया है. So it should be block ideally, and it will adjust everything accordingly. So that's why it is very important to understand box model, and box model plays a very important role when you are trying to position your things on a web page. Okay, make sense? तो यहाँ पे ये अंडरलाइन किया हुआ है. Why? It says property is ignored due to the display. With display inline, the width, height, margin top, margin bottom, and float properties have no effect. And it makes sense to me at the moment what it is trying to say. That अगर आपने inline लिख ही दिया है तो आपको width specify करने की ज़रूरत है नहीं, margin top bottom specify करने की ज़रूरत है नहीं, because all the inline blocks are going to use the space of the content. It is going to get aligned according to the content that you are providing inside that. Yes, yes, Sridhar. So the display property does not get inherited to its child element. Agreed? ठीक है, इसको हटा देते हैं, इसको भी हटा देते हैं. I'll just keep it like this. So time for doubt. काफी डिस्कशन हो गया. Yes, relative and absolute वो पोजिशन प्रॉपर्टीज होती है, पोजिशंस होता है. ये डिस्प्ले हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं. That is something that I will discuss tomorrow. That is the positional property of it. Okay? ठीक है. So time for doubts. काफी चीजें सीख गए आज हम लोग CSS में. वैसे हमने प्रॉपर्टीज देख ली, हमने इनहेरिटेंस देख लिया, हमने उसका टारगेटिंग देख लिया. टुमारो इटसेल्फ वंदित, वी विल स्टार्ट इट फ्रॉम टुमारो इटसेल्फ, क्योंकि CSS हो गया. कल हम लोग जावास्क्रिप्ट का बेसिक स्टार्ट करेंगे, एंड देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू अ लिटिल मोर एडवांस जावास्क्रिप्ट. और उसके बाद मंडे से, मंडे को ही आई थिंक, आई डोंट नो मंडे विल बी इनफ और नॉट, बट ट्यूसडे से तो डेफिनेटली रिएक्ट इज गोइंग टू कम. यस, यस शिवाश. Yeah, so you have to practice, Venkatesh. Uh, there is a question coming from Utkarsh. What is the difference between inline and inline block? So when I talk about inline, it means everything inside, or whatever the content is going to be, that is going to be your, yes, yes, Sachin, I'll come to that. That is going to be your the area that it is going to take up in the screen. तो जब हम inline बोल रहे हैं तो जो भी हम उस tag के अंदर लिख रहे हैं, that is going to be the shape and size of that content. When I say inline block, the top and the bottom margins are respected basically, with whether they are inline or not. When I say this, I mean जो भी content होगा उसके हिसाब से वो inline बन जाएगा, and it is just going to take up that space with keeping in mind that it is a block element, and that's why it adjusts. तो उसका जो top और bottom वाला होता है, टॉप एंड बॉटम वाला होता है, वो एडजस्ट हो जाता है ब्लॉक एलिमेंट के हिसाब से, एंड जो कंटेंट के हिसाब से होता है, दैट गेट्स अलाइंड विद द इनलाइन एलिमेंट्स, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू सी इट हैज बोथ द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ अ इनलाइन ब्लॉक, sorry, inline element and a block element. Okay, so you can also change, let's say यहाँ पे expand डाल देते हैं, expand डाल दिया, और इस पैन के बीच में ये वाला कंटेंट डाल दिया, ठीक है, इस पैन के बीच में ये वाला कंटेंट डाल दिया, एंड आई गो अहेड एंड से दैट मेक ऑल द स्पैन्स एज अ डिस्प्ले ऑफ ब्लॉक। तो अब क्या करेगा कि मेरा स्पैन जो है विच वाज इनिशियली इन लाइन इज अ ब्लॉक एलिमेंट। तो आप देख रहे हो इस लाइन के बाद चेंज हो गया एंड ऑल द कंटेंट हैज कम टू द नेक्स्ट लाइन विच ओरिजिनली वाजंट देयर। ओके, असाइनमेंट्स में दूंगा, डॉक्यूमेंट प्रिपेयर कर रहा था, वो कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ था। आई विल जस्ट गो अहेड एंड पुट इट आउट टुडे। डिजाइन प्रिंसिपल्स एंड बूटस्ट्रैप, मर्न नहीं पढ़ाने दोगे प्रतीक मेरे को तुम? आधे लोग ऐसे ही मेरे को बोल रहे हैं कि आप बहुत टाइम ले रहे हो मर्न तक पहुंचने में। फ्लेक्स बॉक्स, सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द कोर्स कंटेंट दैट वी हैव, ये सारी चीजें थोड़ी सी टाइम बाउंड के हिसाब से नहीं आ सकती हैं in our content, but let me see if I can squeeze all these things in while we are teaching React, ठीक है? जब हम लोग React कर रहे होंगे तो I'll try to squeeze it in as a part of the content, but based on the content and the thing that you are promised, उसके हिसाब से we are trying to align everything and see what you can learn in this 1 month period. Okay, all right, so time for doubts guys. काफी लोग चले भी गए हैं, जिनके पास कोई डाउट नहीं है, you guys can leave. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Take care. And we will continue with the doubt session. Yeah, Sridhar, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Sir, regarding that doubt, like suppose for a div tag, like if the class is box or something, and we make that div tag as inline tag.
One second. Let me go to the code.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now tell
Yeah,
me.
so the box, the CSS part, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, since we made the box class, like we added the property display and gave it that inline block, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. For this, after this, now if we add another div or a block tag following this div tag which has the box class, will it be in the same line or will it go to the next line?
So.
Yeah, just the next div tag. Like, just can you uncomment the next div?
Okay.
Yeah, and remove the class attribute for it. Like, class is equal to box, that one. So my doubt is, will it come in the same line or will it go to the next line?
What do you think?
I'm guessing because the previous one was inline, it should be in the same line. And then that will take up the rest of the screen.
Yes, you're correct. So you want me to remove this class box?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
It took
Okay,
up this
sir.
part, right?
Yeah. So now if you add another one, it will go to the next line, right?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you.
Now if I'm just doing it in the background, I'm just copy pasting and doing everything here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Got your doubt cleared? All right. Anyone else? Okay, Rohit, sounds good. Go ahead and try to practice this stuff. All right. Important thing, I need to push this code, right? So that you guys have access to this. So I'll just go ahead and do it right now. Any more doubts, guys? I'll just say the status. Git commit -m क्या रखें? CSS, and I will say the selectors, specificity, and box model. This is pretty easy to access, right? This makes things so much easier for us to actually share things with you, as well as you guys having the code with you. Git push origin main. और आपके पास कमिट हिस्ट्री भी है, तो जो चीज़ें हमने करी हैं वो धीरे धीरे आपके पास आ जाएंगी, एंड यू विल सी इन कमिंग टाइम, ये कंटेंट जो है आपके पास आ जाएगा पूरा. Okay, Sridhar, to make an inline tag as a box, do we give, not box, we will call it block. You use display block. So any inline that you want to change from inline to block, you use the display block. Yeah, correct. Rohit, how to connect Git with GitHub? When you are trying to create a repository on GitHub, just copy the command that it says and implement it locally. So what it does is it connects your local GitHub system, Git system for that particular folder. Let's say if you're working on CSS, it will connect this particular CSS repository to the remote CSS repository that we have. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think it's a good time. I have pushed 2 commits on GitHub for these CSS files. How to check first commit files? As right now, it is showing latest commit. All right. You want to see that? I'll take you there. Give me a second. I'll open the GitHub apna hi wala, the one that we are working on. Just a second. I'll just open and share the screen. Okay. So here you are seeing this commit. यहाँ right side में आप देखोगे 4 commits. So if you click on this 4 commits, you will see all the commit that you have that has been done for this particular repository. Okay. कल मैंने ये 2-3 commits किए थे, आज मैंने ये commit किया. So you will be able to see this. All right. Rituraj, Ruturaj. Okay. Cool. So no more doubts. Are we done for the day?
Sir,
Yeah. Who is this? Yeah, Utkarsh.
इंटरव्यू उत्कर्ष
Yeah, go ahead.
इंटरव्यू पर्सपेक्टिव से आपको क्या लगता है कि HTML और CSS पे किस पे एम्फसाइज करना चाहिए?
मैं ऑनेस्ट ओपिनियन दूं तो किसी चीज पे भी नहीं, क्योंकि इंटरव्यू पर्सपेक्टिव से डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि ये सारे प्रॉब्लम जैसे मैंने अभी आपको दिखाया ना, HTML इज अ काइंड ऑफ अ ट्री डेटा स्ट्रक्चर, राइट? प्रॉब्लम तो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है इंटरव्यू पर्सपेक्टिव से. दीज आर द एड ऑन थिंग्स दैट यू आर लर्निंग. यू नो HTML, यू नो CSS, बट कोई भी कंपनी जब आती है ना, they won't ask you about HTML and CSS, to be honest. But if you are learning on a more, uh, let's say, more advanced topics like React, MERN, and all that stuff, then they might be interested in that. But without data structures and algorithm, आपको MERN कितना अच्छा भी आता हो, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स आपकी अच्छी नहीं होगी. तो उसके लिए डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके. तो
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
लेकिन HTML CSS is like a, I would say, a more of a compulsory knowledge to have if you are going for a web development, or if you are trying to become a web designer as well. At the end of the course, you are like, okay, coding तो नहीं हो रहा है, designing कर लेते हैं. Okay.
ओके.
All right. DSA is for everyone, Pratik. DSA से क्या होता है, आपका problem solving skills और coding skills better होता है. You use a lot of data structures and algorithm while you are implementing stuff. Okay. So data structure is important. डेटा स्ट्रक्चर इज मोस्टली प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग. थोड़ा सा इनिशियली लग सकता है, बहुत लोग को डिफिकल्ट लगता है, बट वो दैट इज ऑल्सो अ वे ऑफ डूइंग थिंग्स, बिकॉज पीपल हैव बीन कोडिंग फॉर सो लॉन्ग नाउ that they have come up with certain strategies. These are data structures are basically strategies that has been implemented to make life easier, to make things faster. Okay, so simple or hard तो वो individual पे depend करेगा. If you want more time to study, go ahead, take your time. बहुत लोग होगा like I've seen in the past as well that people have done the MERN stack course with me, but they are still learning MERN stack after that. Like they keep connecting with me 2 months after that. Maybe they did not get time to read initially, but then after 2 months they are trying to connect and try to understand how this works. Competitive coding is something that comes up with a lot of advantage in terms of problem solving, but competitive code का importance company के perspective में I haven't seen much, but it is kind of picking it up. Competitive coding is more like a fun thing to do. It will have problems, you solve those problems, you take part of this uh, problems, and that helps you to solve any kind of problem, even in the interviews. Yeah. Okay. Chalo. So I think we are done for the day. I will see you guys tomorrow then at the same time with more topics on similar stuff, and have a good day. Take care of yourself, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night. Take care. Bye bye. Ending the meeting for all.